Now, that's a strange statement to make because the world is all messed up. The nation is sick. Trouble is in the land, confusion all around. That's a strange statement. But I know somehow that only when it is dark enough can you see the stars. And I see God working in this period of the 20th century in a way that men in some strange way are responding. Something is happening in our world. The masses of people are rising up, and wherever they are assembled today, whether they are in Johannesburg, South Africa, Nairobi, Kenya, Accra, Ghana, New York City, Atlanta, Georgia, Jackson, Mississippi, or Memphis, Tennessee, the cry is always the same: we want to be free.
Hi everybody, and welcome to a new video in this video series of new political dreams and visions and ideologies. What you just heard was an excerpt of one of my favorite speeches of all time, the I've been to the mountaintop speech by Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King was a person that I mentioned as one of the leaders of old that had the ability to find these dreams and visions that he could really use to rally people and to get the masses behind him, and in a non-violent and non-confrontational way.
Martin Luther King was originally a pastor from Atlanta, Georgia. But fairly soon in his life he became involved in the civil rights movement, or what would become the civil rights movement, and he also fairly early became one of their most prominent leader. And his most famous speech is the I Have a Dream speech, which was given in 1963. But my own personal favorite is this other speech that you just heard, the I've been to the mountaintop speech.
And I am right now situated here in a very beautiful place, one of the most beautiful places and one of the most inspiring places that I know of, surrounded by family and friends. And I thought that this would be a very good time for us to have a look at this speech a little bit more closely, and to see what we can learn from this speech, and then to have that as a basis as we are moving forward to our new updated visions and ideologies.
Now the first sentence in the clip that we started with said, "That's a strange statement." Now, what was that strange statement? Well, it was the answer to the following question: what age would you like to live in? And this is a typical example of how he structures his speeches in terms of stories, either real stories from his life or from things that have actually happened, or, as in this case, made up stories. Here he imagines that he is asked by the creator, what age would you like to live in? And this prompts him to sort of take a mental flight through time, from Egypt to Greece and the Renaissance. And after describing the magnificence of each of these times, he ends by saying, but I wouldn't stop there. And after a while, he just, after each such time that he comes to, he says, just, I wouldn't stop there. So after the Renaissance is Martin Luther, who is the person who inspired his father to give them both his name. And this is where we now enter the story again.
I would come on up even to 1863 and watch a vacillating president by the name of Abraham Lincoln finally come to the conclusion that he had to sign the Emancipation Proclamation, but I wouldn't stop there. I would even come up to the early 30s and see a man grappling with the problems of the bankruptcy of his nation and come with an eloquent cry that we have nothing to fear but fear itself. But I wouldn't stop there. Strangely enough, I would turn to the Almighty and say, if you allow me to live just a few years in the second half of the 20th century, I will be happy.